Back at it here today to finish this game up. We're going to shop it out. We're going to clean the switches, make sure all the points are scoring right. Um, I got a new translight to replace the back glass. I'll go over that. Um, do that near the end. But yeah, let's get to work. Let's clean this thing up. We're going to give it a full shop out here. All right, when we shop a game out, we take all the plastics off, strip the playfield down, we clean it, we wax it, we let the wax dry, we clean the wax up. Make sure all the light bulbs are working and cleaned. I either clean them with Windex or replace them. If they're browned or don't look very good, I definitely replace them. Light bulbs aren't too expensive. But if they look good, I just clean them with Windex. And yeah, let's get started here. I'm going to do a speeded up view of this here. All right, so now it's time to clean it. I got all the plastics off. Before, one thing to note is a lot of these were loose, or they got more loose when I was going through it. So before I'm all done, we got to make sure we go and tighten all these down. I wiggle every one of them before I put the plastics back on and make sure that they're all tight. But for now, we're just going to clean it. So I use mill wax. There's a lot of people online with strong opinions on what you should use to clean a playfield. I like mill wax and a rag. You're welcome to do your own research there. But otherwise, it's pretty much the same. You strip the game down, you clean it, you put the light bulbs back in, you put the new rubbers back on, you clean all these switches, which I'm going to go over, and then you let the wax dry, you clean the wax, and you got a nice, pretty game. So let's get started on waxing it. All right, now you see all the dirt that we got up. The game's looking better already, but we're just getting started here. So one thing I forgot to mention is you can blow the game out with like an air compressor to get some of the dust out of there before you even get started. So I'm going to do that here. All right, that's good. All right, so that's the cleaning part. Now we're on to the waxing part. I still use mill wax, but I do it a little differently here. So first I start by putting a few little drips here throughout the playfield, just like that. And then I rub them in real good. And then we let the wax dry. And then once the wax dries, then we clean the wax up, just like waxing a car. Gives it a nice, super even uh, shine to it. The ball rolls nice and smooth. Your gameplay is noticeably better. Game looks a lot better, and it protects the playfield from paint loss in the future. So it's a it's a good idea. Here we go. Okay, so one thing I like to do here, it doesn't matter really when you do it. I could have done it earlier, I could do it later, but I like to use a wire brush tool, and I like this tiny little one from Harbor Freight. It's like $8, and it is nice and compact and easy to get into tight spots. I've had bigger ones, cordless ones, all kinds, but also this one's not too powerful, which you really don't want one that's too powerful anyways. I really like this one, Harbor Freight, $8 plus a wire brush. I think it's called Dremel, like 444 or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but Dremel, Dremel wire brush insert. I've had this one for a long time. I hadn't need to change it. It just kind of hangs out there. It does a good job. So we're gonna go ahead and start cleaning these here. Yeah. So the reason you want to clean these switches is because you want to have the tiniest bit of sensitivity score a point. So if the ball kind of barely touches it, it scores a point. But when they get dirty, you got to push it kind of hard to score a point. And it makes the game less fun, overall less responsive, and it's noticeable. So we want to make the game nice and responsive, so we're going to go ahead and clean them all. And then when we put the rubbers on, we gap them just right, but I'll go over that later. Doesn't take too much, just a little bit. You'll see they're nice and shiny. All right, so that's all done for the top side. I do the same thing on the, especially like these rollovers. You want to make sure the bottom side switches are cleaned too. But right now we're doing a top side shop out. So definitely when you're doing the top side shop out, you want to make sure you get them while you got access to them, because once all the rubbers and plastics are back on, you can't get to them as easily. So what's next? Now we can put a fan on it, which I'm going to do. If you put a fan on it, it takes like 20 minutes for the wax to turn into a nice white haze. Otherwise, you could wait like 5 hours, 4 hours. I don't know. I don't do it very often without a fan, but eventually it'll turn to haze without a fan. But you put a fan on it, it'll speed the thing up quite a bit. So that's what I'm gonna do. What? I can't hear you. There's a big fan going. All right. It's been probably half an hour. You can see there's a nice white build up here. Yeah, it's time to clean the wax off and go from there. All right, so we got most of the wax up. This is kind of my secret touch here. This is these are meant for cleaning guns. If you Google gun cleaning brush, you'll find these, but they work really good for getting the wax off of these stand-up things here. A lot of times, a little bit of wax gets on them, or a lot of wax, and it just doesn't look very good. If Now that I've mentioned it, you're gonna notice it and it's gonna bother you. But you just kind of gotta go clean all the little bits of wax off with this. Make sure you get all of it, all the corners, all that wax has to go. Or it just doesn't look very good. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. All right, that's looking pretty good. And you can give it a once over again when everything's put back together if you notice anything later. But yeah, that's pretty good. So now that there's little bits of wax everywhere, it's just time to blow the game out one more time, just to blow all the wax out. You know, air compressor is the best idea, but a can of compressed air, that'll work too. Just gonna blow it out. Get it all out of there. No wax. All right. What's next? Let's go ahead and tighten all these posts down. Make sure that they're not going to move around on us. So most of them are going to be a 1/4 inch. I'll just kind of go make sure every one of them is snug. And if it's not, most of the time you can tighten them and they get snug. If you're tightening it and it's not getting snug, then your wood's bad. One of the things that's a good thing to do is I take it all the way out like this here. Now you probably can't see that one. Let's do a more visible one here. Here's a good one. So let's say I'm turning it and it's stripped, so it's not getting tight. So you can just cram a toothpick in there and break it off, and then that usually gets tight enough that you can screw it down. Sometimes you can stick, the sharp end of the toothpick in there, and then break it off and stick the other end in there and break that off, and then you get 2 toothpicks in there, and that's usually strong enough. You just want to make sure you can tighten it enough to get it fairly snug. And if the wood's just totally gone, it's totally lost, it's all hollowed out, nothing you can do about it. And the bottom of the playfield, there's nothing there. Sometimes you got to drill a little hole through the playfield and put a metal, a threaded, a threaded thing in there and put a nut on the bottom side, and that, that's kind of a last resort. But normally, just sticking a toothpick in there works. It's not getting tight. Stick a toothpick in there. Yeah, see, I got a toothpick already. What else do we got? It's tight. Tight. Alright, so I'm going to get a toothpick, because this one wasn't getting tight on us. So let's see if we can figure out why. Oh yeah, it's all nasty. Sorry. Blow that out here. I'm going to stick a toothpick in there. We're going to get it nice and tight. Always have to have a toothpick in your toolbox, both for dirty teeth and for fixing pinball. Stick that in there. Get it in there. That's good. There we go. Look at that. That's nice and tight. So we're going to be able to put this back in there, and it's going to tighten down on us. It's going to be wonderful. I feel it tightening down there. There we go. It's super tight. And of course the Phillips. Tighten down the Phillips. So far these have all been pretty tight. A lot of times these ones are loose because they came loose when you were taking the plastics off. So that's why most of those you have to snug. Phillips ones are usually already pretty snug, but it's still good to check them. All right, so now we do the light bulbs. All right, so for the light bulbs, I got the old light bulbs here. Take a paper towel, a little bit of Windex on the paper towel, and then you can take the light bulb here, just kind of clean it a little bit. And if you do that to all of them, they all look like brand new light bulbs. Unless you get one that's kind of brown. Here's one for an example. See, this one here is, I don't know how well you can see it, but it's kind of brown. Even if it lights up, which it might, it doesn't. But even if it lights up, you should throw that one away because when they get black like that, instead of producing light, they produce more heat than they produce light, and you don't want that in your game. So if they look black, throw them away, even if they light up. Half the time they still light up. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this here and put you on the fast forward. Okay, so now we're onto the rubber rings. So, well, it sounds pretty easy. There's a little bit of involved to putting these rings on. First off, you got to make sure you got the right size. Now you can buy a kit that has all the sizes, but I've found a lot of times even the kits are off. But they're a pretty good place to start. I buy rubbers in bulk. I go through so many games that I have every size in bulk just to go through my games. So, anyways, this one is what is this? 2.5. It's a common one. So if you see here, look at that. That's no good. See how hard the ball has to hit in order for that switch to give you any points? See, it hits right here. It hasn't scored yet. That's because that gap is way too big. Alternatively, you can have a gap that's like this, right? So it's stuck. Oh, see, I pissed it off. You can have a gap like this that's stuck closed. If you're not careful, you don't want either of those. You want to get them just right. This is called a contact adjuster tool. You want to get them just right. You can use a screwdriver, a flathead. Sometimes I use a flathead screwdriver. You just kind of got to get in there and bend them. So you got a little bit less of a gap. This one's kind of fighting me a little bit, but you just kind of got to play with it. It's easier when you're not making a video. And you can bend them from the bottom too. That's still not good enough. That's pretty good. All right, see, that's kind of what you want. See, there's just a little bit of a gap there. So now your game's going to play super responsive because when the ball kind of comes down like that, every time it's going to score. Otherwise, the game kind of feels dead. You know, it's no good. We want good. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that to all these switches here, put all the rubbers on, and then we're going to clean the plastics. You got to clean the plastics before you put them back on. I use mail wax and a paper towel to clean the plastics. I'll show you that next. But here we go. Let's put all the rubber rings on and gap the switches. Because we already cleaned them, remember? Don't forget to clean them. All right, so these are called lane guides. While I'm here, you just kind of want to clean them. They can get dirty on the insides. I use just put a little bit of mail wax on a paper towel, works fine. I didn't say good enough. See, learning. Clean that. How nice and clean they are now. And yeah, I'm going to do this to all of them. I'll just show you here this one. Well, they look real nice. Good as new. And you can put them back on. Oh, and you can use your brush here. You want to clean these guys. See, they get, that's what I'm talking about. They get the nasty mail wax in there. I'm going to clean them outside of the playfield because I don't want to get the dirt back in the playfield. I'm off screen here for a second, but yeah, so you just kind of run it through like that and get all the nasty off of it. Takes a quick second, just like this. And then you're ready to put the rubber on it. 3/8. It's your common post rubber like this. And then goes this way. And you screw it down. We're going to go ahead and do that to all of them here and fast forward. I'll just do this one here. Oops. So I made a mistake here. So when you have, these are called lane guides. When you have a lane guide where one side's open like this, see how this side's open and this side's not open? You don't use post rubbers on that. That's a noob mistake. So in this case, I put the lane guide in first, and then I put the rubber on afterwards. So I'll show you how I do that. So we're just going to put this guy back on, like this, and then you fit the rubber afterwards here. So this is probably going to be 1 1/4. So we're going to get a 1 1/4 inch. So generally when anything's facing a pop bumper, it has the bouncy side has the bouncy side. This is not bouncy side facing the pop bumper because pop bumper wants to be snappy. So here's 1 1/4. See if it's the right size. Perfect. So that's how you do that. All right, let's do the rest of them. All right, I finished this one off screen because it was too big to fit um, on the game. I just cleaned it on my bench. But anyways, I wanted to show you here. Acorn nuts is the next thing here. So a lot of people reuse acorn nuts, and that's fine, honestly. It's not that big of a deal. But the game looks so much better if you put new ones on. They're all nice. They're all not nasty and yellow. Um, Pinball Life sells them. They're like a dime each or something if you buy, I don't know, 100 or something. I don't remember the exact price, but they're pretty reasonable. So that's what I do. Most of the time, I just replace them all. If there's any question at all about them not looking beautiful, I just put new ones on. They all look nice and uniform and early. It's just kind of, it's noticeable. It makes a difference. It looks better. That's what we're going to do. Ta-da! So I know what you're thinking. I forgot the flipper rubbers. Well, I didn't. This one's broken, so I'm going to have to replace it. This one's pretty good, but if you do one, you're going to have a nice shiny one, and then this one's not nice and shiny. Also, see how it's got that play in it? That's what causes this kind of wear. So probably I got maybe a broken bushing. We'll take a look at the bottom side of that, but I'm going to have to do both of these. But I think the top side's done other than that. Ta-da! Look at it. Shiny, bright. Looks pretty. All right, so we're doing a close-up here. This is called the flipper bushing. It sticks up through the game. Here, I can show you. I got a drawer of them. Flipper bushings. This is what they look like. So you're seeing the bottom side of it here, but they can break. And then when they break, they have a lot of play to them. But these don't look broken. So I'm moving the flipper here on the top side, going back and forth. And I don't see any play in the bushing, which tells me the bushing is not the problem. It's probably just the flipper bat is loose. The plastic is loose on the metal flipper bat, which is what's giving it that play on the top side. But the bottom side here, no, they both look good. If you see any kind of movement, you want to replace the flipper bushing. Shouldn't do it with the power on. Just hit a switch. But can't find the flipper. Here it is. So you have no play. I mean, yeah, you see the play on the top, but you don't see any play in the bushing. So that tells me the bushings are probably fine. But we still need to take the bats up, figure out what's going on. We also pretty much always want to replace these sleeves here. These are coil sleeves. They just get dirty and old, and they cause extra friction, which slows the flipper down. So I'm going to do a speeded up view of me going through these flippers. And yeah, here we go. So now these look a lot better, but you got to make sure you get them even. So I just kind of snug those linkages down a hair so that I still have a little bit of play in these flippers when I get to the top. So then you can kind of push them a little bit if you need to until you get them till where they feel super good. That actually looks pretty good. Maybe a little more on this one. That looks pretty good. So now I'm going to go back to the bottom of the playfield and snug them down. I think that's going to be pretty good. And then, of course, sometimes you got to do it a few times to get them perfect. But I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to snug them down. All right. So these are called end of stroke switches. When the flipper's fully engaged, they break contact. And you want them to be nice and clean because the high power goes through these. And then when they're fully engaged, it disconnects the high power. There's a lot of theory behind how that works, but basically the coil has two windings. It's got a winding with thick wire and a winding with thin wire. And the end of stroke switch, when it's opened, you only have one of the sides engaging, and when it's closed, you got both sides. So I think that's right. I'm not an expert on the theory behind it. There's electrical engineer work going on in there. But what you need to know is these need to be cleaned, and they need to break. They need to have pressure on them, and they need to break when the coil is fully engaged. So I used my Dremel here to clean the end of stroke switches. And then while you're at it, you might as well clean the flipper button switches. Flipper button switches, you want to make sure they make a nice contact. All right, I think we're looking pretty good. All right, so I got to put these last rubbers on just like that. Nice and easy. And then we're going to play a game. See how it plays. Flipper's not working. All right, that last video was a bit of a fail. Two things happened. One, the flipper quit working. And two, it didn't register that the ball drained, but I figured both those issues out. So when the ball goes down here, it pushes this switch down, and it just wasn't gapped right. So I might as well clean it too. And then we're going to gap it properly here. So that's why it didn't drain when the ball went down. And then you want to make sure that it's touching. There we go. So now we know it's going to be touching when the ball drains. Too much. And then I already found the flipper has a wire on it that needs to be resoldered, which is super common. So I'm going to reflow that wire, and we fixed that, and then we're going to try it again. So somebody just wrapped this wire on here. There wasn't even any solder on it. And you see that pretty commonly, unfortunately, because someone tries to work on the game and they don't own a soldering iron. Don't know how to solder. So they just wrap it on there. So we're going to fix that. And then we're going to play it again, and with any luck, it's going to work this time. And we can call this a successful repair. It's the best kind of repair. Successful. So I do soldering in a two-stage thing, which frankly is the best way to do it. So you put solder on the wire, because then you're making sure the wire takes the solder, and that's super important. You're not just coating the solder around the shell of the wire, you're actually making sure the wire takes the solder. And if you do that, then you know you got a good solder joint. So that's the way you should do it. You put solder on both sides, and then, third step, touch the two together, and then they both already have taken the solder, so all you gotta do is make sure the two solder pools go together well. This one looks kind of ugly. And here. That one's just a reflow, but still, I'm kind of the same concept. Alright, I bet you it works now. Let's find out. Alright, here we go. Come on. This game's playing itself. See, flipper's strong because we cleaned it, put a new sleeve on it, cleaned the end of stroke switch. Those are both nice and strong. And the game's registering that it drained because we cleaned the gap. We got a good working game here. Good job, guys. All right, so we've done a pretty good job going through this game. Now, really all that's left is to play it for a long time and address any other issues as they come. You can be sure that there are other issues that are going to come up. There's only so much you can do preventatively. A lot of times, I get these games. They haven't been played regularly in a while. They've been in someone's garage or basement for 20 years, and I go through it. I bring it back to life. I clean everything. I get it playing good, and I play it for half an hour, and it looks great. And then I sell the game, and it gets delivered, and then the grandkids play it for 2 weeks straight, nonstop, 12 hours a day, and something breaks. And that's why everything I sell has a warranty. I go out there, I fix it. But really, the next step is to play it for a long time. But that's not my point exactly. My point is what I'm trying to say is this glass looks bad. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. The glass, it's missing all this paint. It's never going to look good. You can see the boards. This glass is in bad shape, which is too bad. So there's a couple of options. If you're lucky, somebody reproduces it in bulk, screen printed with mirroring. But nobody does on this one. So you could do BG Resto, which is a good option. They can take 4 to 6 months. They do a real good back glass, but they don't do mirroring. So all this mirroring, you can't really probably see it on the video, but it looks real sharp. These lines here, they're mirror, so they're shiny. They're not paint. They're mirrored. So BG Resto is a good option in this case. Somebody sells a Translight. So I just picked this Translight up from, I bought it off eBay, Classic Arcades Inc. So there's two options here. You can buy a blank sheet of glass, and you can put the Translight against the glass, and then you can put this trim on, and it'll look good. But a sheet of glass is expensive. It's got to be the right size. It's a lot of work to get one, and there's no mirroring. So my hope is I'm going to, there's not much paint left in this glass, really. Yeah, maybe somebody wants to put it on their wall, but frankly, it doesn't look very good. So I'm going to scrape the paint off, keep the mirroring, hopefully, and then I'm going to put the Translight against it, and hopefully I'll still have some of the effect of the mirroring with the good art behind it. That's my goal. That's what I'm hoping for. Let's see if it works. Coming along here. Mirroring's coming up a little bit, but it's actually mostly staying there. I think we have potential. It's coming along pretty good. I think it's going to look good when we're done. Most of the mirroring's still there. Just got to go light on it. And using a combination of a razor blade and a putty knife. It's coming up pretty good. Yeah, I'm optimistic. Almost there. I actually think it turned out pretty good here. You can see all the mirroring is pretty much still there. It's a few light in a few spots. Maybe I went too heavy in a few spots, but I think overall we did pretty good here. Let's see how it looks with the Translight. This is the Translight, by the way. We're going to try to mash the two together to the point where the mirroring lines up with any luck, and hopefully it'll look awesome. Or it'll look horrible. I've never done this before, but I'm giving it a shot because I think it's a good idea, and every once in a while my ideas aren't bad. Let's see if this is an exception or not. Alright, we got it on there. I actually think it looks pretty good. Still got some of the mirroring effect, but the paint's all there. It looks a lot better than it was. It's not completely flawless, but overall I think it looks pretty good. Yeah, I'm happy. Definitely better than before. And I think it does look better than a glass with no mirroring at all on it, so I'm happy. Are you happy? Hope you're happy too. All right, on this one, it was a two-part show. We started out with the game didn't boot, or it did boot, but it was doing weird things. I think it was because battery acid got into one of the chips. And or maybe the sockets, or one of the other. Yeah, the sockets. I replaced one chip, and I did 3 sockets, and it seems to have fixed it. Well, it did fix it. It's working good now. Um, we did that. We talked about the importance of doing a remote battery holder or an NVRAM. Or if your battery holder is still good and you don't want to do a remote holder, you should at the very least do Energizer Ultimate Lithium AA batteries, because lithium doesn't leak like alkaline does. I mean, maybe some people will debate that, but lithium doesn't leak in all practical purposes. Alkaline usually does, especially Duracells. They seem to be the worst. Anyways, we did that. What else did we do? Yeah, we got it to start. We cleaned and waxed it. We replaced all the rubber rings. We did the flippers, and then we played it, made sure it was all working. Oh, and then we did the translite. I think that translite looks a lot better than the last one, which was really not very presentable at all. This looks nice. Someone's going to be happy to have this in their game room. I'd be happy to have it in my game room, but I've already got 13. So, anyways, it's a good game. I think we did a good video on it. Part 2 done. All that's left now is to play it a bunch. You know, that's a good thing about having the showroom. People are going to come in, they're going to play it, and any little issues that come up, hopefully I can fix them before the game goes out the door. Otherwise, I go to the customer's house and fix them there, but other way, I stand behind the games I sell, and we're going to make sure that whoever buys this is happy with it. All right, that's all I got for now. We'll see you on the next one. Keep flipping.